neighbors.
Welcome home, neighbors.
Hello, neighbors.
We're listening from
Arizona,
Florida,
Maryland, New York, New Jersey,
Indianapolis,
California,
Utah,
Michigan,
Iowa, Massachusetts,
Georgia, Canada,
our home resort is
Animal Kingdom,
Polynesian,
Bay Lake Town,
Old Key West,
Riviera,
Boardwalk,
Alani Resort,
Hilton Head,
Boulder Ridge, Copper Creek,
Grand Floridian,
Saratoga Springs,
Beach Club,
and Wilderness Lodge.
and you're listening to
and you're listening
You're listening
to
my
DVC
Points.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the DVC Newscast. We are recording live on the My DVC Points platform, and also this will go up as a podcast pretty much everywhere you can get your podcasts. This is episode 117, and today I have with me Vicky from California. Hey, Vicky.
Hey, Pete. Hey, everyone.
How's it going out there?
Pretty good. It's pretty hot. Everyone's
Yeah.
texting me asking how hot it is. Super hot.
Yeah, it's
So-
super hot most places, except here in Buffalo. It's about 80 degrees. We're good, but you know.
That's hot too.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not too bad. Not too
So
bad.
height of hot. Welcome, everyone.
Yeah. Everybody's hot right now. Yeah, and it's also kind of the slow news season as well. So, you know, we only got a couple stories this week, but we try to get our episodes out at least every 2 weeks, and we got enough to talk about it for a show. So a couple interesting pieces, and some of them directly DVC related as well. But before we get into the news, let me do a quick thank you to our sponsor.
We want to give a shout out to our sponsor for today's episode, the DVC Rental Store. So maybe you are an existing DVC owner and you just ran out of points and you want to rent some points for an upcoming trip. You can definitely contact them and see if they have a reservation available. A lot of times they have confirmed reservations that they're also trying to rent out. Or maybe you are a DVC owner that aren't able to make it down to Orlando or Anaheim this year and you want to rent out your points. They will also help you out with doing that. So definitely hit up our friends at the DVC Rental Store.
And with that, I threw a bonus story on here right at the beginning that I just thought we should mention because it is big news for Disney in general. Today was announced that Bob Iger had his contract extended through December of 2026. So that's another 2 years. When he signed back on in November, it was supposed to be through December of 2024. And I guess he decided that 2 years was not enough time to fix the ship, so to speak, to his satisfaction, right? I suppose that's the way. So what do you think of this, Vicky? I don't know. You're glad he's back. So far, it seems mostly what he's done is like, you know, cut stuff.
Sure. So I guess, the main guy that was supposed to succeed him was the other Bob, Chapek, but obviously that didn't work out. So I think it seems like the main thing we're learning is they haven't found another replacement yet. So I think they're just they want the right person. So it makes sense to me.
Yeah, quite a few people have left, you know, and it might be a case of they're struggling to find an internal candidate. They don't think their internal candidate is ready yet. Might be the case as well. When you think about it, a pretty quick window to get a replacement for a position of that high level. Someone has got to be, you know, working with the current CEO for 1 to 2 years before they take over, I would think. If we go back to the 80s there, I think Michael Eisner and Frank Wells stepped in not knowing everything. It's not necessarily needed. I think you're right. I think it's the search is not going as well as they hoped, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, we have a hello from Buffalo, New York from a Facebook user.
We do.
That's your neck of the woods.
That is. Hello. And that's not me. I didn't type that.
It's not you.
Fellow DVC listener in Buffalo. Great.
Yeah.
So, but with that, let's get into the main news stories, the more DVC related news stories. And I thought this was kind of cool coming to our California newest resort that's opening soon.
Yeah, all around it's going to be at. And this is a summertime thing for DVC members to do if they're at any of the DVC resorts. Not all of them, but we'll tell you which ones. From July 7th to August 18th, they're going to have photo booths installed at certain locations to take souvenir snapshots for members. And it's going to also be included, some of them, in a mosaic at the latest DVC resort. Here's where the photo booths will be. They'll be at, like Pete was saying, here at Disneyland Park in the DVC Starview station in our new member lounge inside Disneyland. Another one is going to be at the DVC Member Lounge at Epcot. Another one at Disney Springs Town Center. And the last one will be at Aulani in the Resort and Spa, somewhere in there.
Don't even have to be at a Disney park.
Right. So it's just all the different locations. And the photos will be included in a mural to be unveiled during the September 28th grand opening of the villas at Disneyland Hotel. So it is related to us out here, but that's fun to have all the existing members come by these locations. And if they're happen to be in Aulani or Epcot, they can come by and take an opportunity. It seems like you may be able to also have your own photo. So additional details are posted at the website memberstorysnaps.com. So that's kind of fun. So if you're headed out there, Pete, you could take your photo.
It's pretty neat, the idea. I know a few of the resorts have done it. I know Bay Lake Tower, if you're one of the first people to buy in, there's a fountain there by the pool that has everybody's names on it. And what I think is cool about this is, even though it's going to be at the Disneyland Hotel, you don't need to be an owner there to participate in this. So you just have to either be in the parks for the next month or so, or again, you can go to this memberstorysnaps.com and post a picture of your family and hopefully get it. I'm going to probably do that because I'm not going to be there by August 18th. So it'd be cool to find your picture there at the new resort. What about you, Vicky? You're going to try to get over to the member lounge. Worst case, you get a souvenir from a photo booth, right?
Yeah. So I think I can hit 3 of these. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
If anyone can hit all 4, you let us know in our Facebook group. So
that would be something if you hit all 4 by August 18th.
Or just upload your picture. That's good too. But this is good. It's easier than buying like that stone paver in the ground. This is much better. It lasts longer.
Cost. Yeah.
No cost. Yeah.
Yep. I was thinking that the other day. I was like, man, I kind of wish I'd gotten one of those pavers at Magic Kingdom, but they're all gone. So I guess I'm glad I didn't get it. So we also have some news about the Disney dining plan. And a few weeks ago, we talked about that DVC members could add the dining plan by calling into member services. But the good news now is you can go on the website. It only took them, like a month to do this update. No longer you have to make a separate phone call if you want to add on the dining plan to your reservations for dates. And you got to remember, it doesn't start till January 9th, 2024. So if your trip is before that date, you cannot add the dining plan. But if you want to add it after that, the options will be presented when making a reservation, and they can also be accessed by visiting the member dashboard. So if you open up the trip details on the dashboard, you should see a link along the bottom where they have the other links like buy trip insurance and things like that. There should be a link that says allows owners to purchase the dining plan. I haven't tried this because I don't have a reservation after January 9th. Well, I guess that's not true. I have a California reservation, but you don't have the dining plan. So
no,
that's kind of irrelevant. I think we talked about this before, and I think you were on the show when we talked about the dining plan, right? We kind of both said, I don't know if we would use it, but some people really like it. So it's good that they made it easier to access, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then little news out of Epcot.
Yeah, they have the new Moana attraction. We've been waiting for this one. It's called Journey into Water, and it's going to almost be done. So they announced cast member previews. So that will be starting July 19th through August 25th. So no opening date has been set, and they didn't say anything about DVC member previews. But once they say that they're going to do cast member previews, usually they have some DVC member previews or annual pass member previews right after that. So it should be coming soon, since Journey into Water was expected to open this fall, along with the rest of the Epcot Central construction being done. So kind of looking forward to that, and exciting that somebody's going to get in to see it. Cast members usually post about it. And like I said, shortly after that, annual pass and DVC members.
I would almost expect maybe in September that we'll see DVC member previews, maybe late in September or something like that. It's hard to say because they haven't made an announcement about when it's opening, but that's kind of what they did with Tron. They did the cast member previews first, and then a few weeks later, they announced the DVC and annual pass previews. So we'll see. We'll keep our ear to the ground. I'm not expecting much out of this attraction. I don't know about you, Vicky, but I think this is going to be what you would probably in the past have called an A ticket or a B ticket attraction. It's just kind of a walkthrough. Hopefully it's going to be really pretty and kind of neat to see, but there's not really any ride here or anything like that. Just hopefully it's a pleasant walk through some entertaining rock work and fountains and things like that. But we'll see. I don't know. Are you looking forward to I look forward to anything new, but
Sure.
Trying to keep my expectations tempered on this one.
So walkthrough attractions are sort of like a original Disney thing. Haunted Mansion was supposed to be a walkthrough before they invented like the attraction part of it.
Even Pirates, I think, was originally
was
talked
to be
about.
A walkthrough. Also out here, I know it's not here all the time, but at Oogie Boogie Bash, they have the Villains Grove, and that's a walkthrough, and people say that's a must-do for Oogie Boogie, so maybe they took some lessons from that. Like you said, I'm managing my expectations, but it can be something where people say that, hey, you're here, go ahead and do this. And I can't tell how big it is. I think the size will really be dependent on whether it's how grand it could really be, right? And I've not really been able to see through the walls. Some people have shown like little bits, but so I'm excited to see what it is. And walkthroughs are easy, right?
The big question is going to be, is it one and done, or is it, hey, I'm going to go and see that more than once, right? Hopefully they can make something that's entertaining enough that we'll want to go back to, as opposed to just walking through once. As you mentioned, Disneyland, I think of the Sleeping Beauty Castle walkthrough, which is a bunch of murals, or not murals, but displays. And it's not spectacular or anything, but I've done it a couple times. We've gone back through it. We've done it more than once. So if it's something that they can make it interesting enough that I'll go back to it, then that's a success. Like the Swiss Family Treehouse, not a success.
Hopefully they've updated that one too, right?
Well, I don't think they've changed that one at least in Florida in a long time.
Oh, right.
So they are updating it out there, right? It's it's not Tarzan anymore. It's going to be something else. I can't remember what.
Adventureland Treehouse. So it's kind of I don't want to say generic, but it seems like it's little Swiss Robinson, it's little Tarzan, it's a little bit of everything, and they did make it bigger, so we'll see what that means. But I think a walkthrough that we're not going up some stairs is pretty good, and I'm hoping it's going to be shaded. I want to say that the draw of this one, there's water and it's shaded, so that may be something that people can do.
Yeah, is there like mists and things like that that can cool you off as well, or even play areas for the kids that maybe not they're getting soaked in, but at least they can stick their hands in or things like that, because kids like that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And Gina is correcting us. It's Adventureland Treehouse, inspired by Swiss Family Robinson. So that's what's going to come out here to Disneyland. So okay, nice.
Adventureland Treehouse. Do you know when that's going to open? I haven't heard anything.
I have also not heard anything. Gina will tell us if she has heard something. Yeah. Some of the construction walls on that have come down, so you can see kind of the tippy tops of it. So that's an improvement, and maybe they're getting closer.
Well, anyways, let's move on. Our last story is, again, our friends over at dvcnews.com post the latest sales numbers. We don't share this every month, but, with the Disneyland Hotel opening, this seemed like a good time. We talked a little bit about this last month, but out west, they've sold, as of the end of June, they sold another 162,000 plus points at the Disneyland Hotel, which now includes, of course, new member contracts, which started sales on May 30th. Total sales are now at 309,500 points, roughly, which is about 9.5% of the resort. So that's almost 10% of the resort sold in the first 2 months. I'm sure Disney's got to be pretty happy with that. I remember when we first talked about this, Vicky, you were like, oh my God, it's going to sell out in like a day.
I totally thought that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it didn't sell out in a day, but I mean, 10% in 2 months, that's a lot. I'm sure they're very happy with that. Now, I'm sure it's going to slow down. This is the initial sales, especially, new members that were kind of pent up, that live out there, that haven't been able to, or feel like they haven't been able to join DVC, probably jumped on it. But another point is that the initial declaration of rooms was about 575,000 points, which means that they've already sold 54% of the available points from that initial declaration. So we might actually see them declare more rooms in the next 1 to 2 months if the sales hold up, even if they don't stay this high. But if they stay near 100,000 points, they don't want to let that get to the point where it's, fully sold out. We might see a declaration happen, I'd say as soon as September, maybe. What's good about that for members that own there and even members that don't own there is that means they open up another bunch of rooms when that happens. That's one of the good things with new resorts is sometimes you want to get into them and you can't, and then they open up more inventory. Now you got to keep a close eye on it because they book pretty quickly when they do, but we won't have that information fast enough. By the time they let us know they've declared more, it's probably already out there. With those sales, you're looking pretty good. Think about it. They made about $130 million in income during the first 2 months. Not bad. And most predictions I've seen is about 2 to 3 years for that resort to sell out. It's probably going to go pretty fast. Meanwhile, the sales over at Walt Disney World remain strong. In addition to the 161,000 points in California, there was 134,000 points sold among the DVC resorts in Florida. And that actually makes June of 2023 the third best month for DVC sales in the last 13 years since DVCnews.com has been tracking it. Grand Floridian was the top seller by far with 75,000 points out of those 134,000. And that resort is about 2/3 sold out now, and we expect it to be sold out sometime next year. Riviera remains the only kind of dark spot in sales. They did 40,000 in sales in June, which is actually down from May, which was only 42 in May. And that resort is 54% sold out, but also much bigger than the Grand Floridian. So whereas we think the Grand Floridian will be sold out in about a year, current pace at Riviera says like 5 to 6 years to sell out. You don't have to rush for Riviera points.
Really?
If that's where you want to own, it's going to be on sale for a while. Third place was actually Animal Kingdom Lodge, sold about 10,000 points. And that's because recently they had some incentives for that resort that you were able to buy points, but they still must have enough inventory to keep them happy because they're still not using right of first refusal at all. I think it's been since January, since any contracts have been bought back by Disney, which makes for a buyer's market for sure. Mm-hmm. Any comments on that? I mean, it's numbers, and I love numbers, but not everybody does.
I think Grand Floridian was as expected, so I'm not surprised that it's like 2/3 sold out. Disneyland Hotel, I mean, like you said, I don't think I'll ever live that down in that conversation with you, Pete, where I was like, I've got to buy day one. It's going to sell out day one. It's going to sell out to DVC members. I really thought that was going to be true.
I did buy day one, though.
Like 10 a.m. Pacific time and everything. And so I was very, very keen, as they say. So I'm not surprised, that they got 10% of the resort down, and it's shortly after. I feel like it'll be similar to Grand Floridian, where in a few years it'll sell out. But I'm just really, even though I don't own at Riviera and people do own there, I'm a little sad about it for Disney because it's not a bad resort. It's points heavy, but they have good incentives, and people who want that full 50-year contract usually tend to buy there. But now with, other resorts opening, having points, even though they're, older resorts, like just the Grand Floridian with their new tower, Polly's going to come out with the new tower, it just seems to put Riviera on the back burner. But I think if they keep their incentives high for Riviera, they'll continue to sell them. But you're right, it's going to be another 6 years. That's not a surprise. It's just like Riviera is like the new Aulani, why isn't it selling?
We've talked about it before. I think you said it right there, which is points heavy, right? It's a very expensive place to stay. You need to have a lot of points per night. And if you're going to spend a lot of points per night, why not own at the Grand Floridian, which, sorry, Riviera, but
yeah,
right. Sorry, Riviera. You're really, really nice, but you don't beat the Grand Floridian.
Yeah.
So I wonder almost if that's hurting it as well. The fact that the Grand Floridian is the other option. So if people are looking at, this versus that, I'm going with the Grand Floridian. But it's going to be a similar problem with the Poly. I mean, the Poly is very popular, and having what we assume is going to be 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms and studios in this tower is going to, get people interested in it for sure. In the end, it doesn't affect us as members that much, except that it's only about 60% declared, which means that not all the rooms are available to members. So it does make it a little harder for non-owners there to get in. There's more rooms available when it's fully declared. So it makes
Yeah. But I think, like you were trying to say, it's not fully declared, but also people want to stay at Riviera. And that's a key point to being a direct member. You could use your points to stay at Riviera, but people seem like, oh, I want to stay there one time, but it's not like a repeat place that people are like, oh, I must stay there. Also, you can take the Skyliner to go eat there. People really like eating there. That's true. But to stay there is people enjoy it, but it's not this repeat place where, oh, I got to be on the monorail loop, or I gotta be across the street, or I could walk there Bay Lake Tower, something like that, right?
And this is me. It's the number of points. I look at it, and if I can get into a studio at the Boardwalk or a studio at Riviera, the one at Boardwalk is 6 to 7 less points a night or more, and that's so my points go a lot further at other resorts. We are going to be staying there in November for a couple nights, but just 2 or 3 nights. Right now we have 2 nights, but the third night isn't available. But still, I don't necessarily picture myself. I think I would go back there. I mean, I've toured there. The rooms are beautiful. The resort is really beautiful. I think they underwhelmed the lobby by quite a bit, but in the end, how much time do you spend in the lobby?
Exactly.
But I think the resort overall is very nice, and I do like the Skyliner. I don't have any really issues with it. So, some people don't like the idea of having to ride that. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Maybe I'll fall in love with it in my 3 days there.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I will say that. So 2 or 3 times a year, I have to go out there for work. So I'll book a last minute trip. Last minute meaning 1 or 2 months ahead of time. And it's still just Saratoga and Old Key West that you can get length of stay, fully available type of room.
Right.
The other ones are there's 1 day available of your stay or something like that.
Right.
And Riviera is not fully available. So it's clearly popular, so nothing's changed in that sense.
Yeah, no, it's definitely hard to get rooms, particularly the standard rooms, which are, I'd have to go and look it up, but it's 30% of the resort. The standard rooms are firework view, right?
Yeah.
Which I think I did manage to get us a standard view room for the 2 nights. As I said, we're trying to add a third night because we bought the tickets for the Jollywood Bash on November 11th. We're staying there the 10th and the 11th. So it worked out. We're going to be at Riviera for the Jollywood Bash, which will be nice. As long as they don't close the the Skyliner or something. Yeah. The problem is because of that, we were going to fly out Sunday morning, and I was like, I'm not going to this thing till 12:30 at night and then flying out Sunday morning. So I booked our flight for Monday morning. I need another night stay on Sunday night, but I don't have it yet. So I'm given minor problems that are all mine. So
there's always Saratoga or Old Key West.
Yeah, but then I got to move for one night,
move.
which is
I know you don't want to do that. I'm with you.
I'm almost like, if I'm going to move for the one night and I'm flying out first thing Monday morning, I might as well stay over by the airport.
That's true.
That's kind of how I'm feeling. So let's see if we have any other comments before we wrap this up.
Got a hi from the suburbs of Chicago from Linda Colby. Yep, that one.
Yeah, hey, Linda. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, we got a few listeners tonight. We are seeing tours finish inside the DVC Lounge in Tomorrowland. That's their new selling point. Well, you and I talked about this, Vicky, right? The DVC Lounge, it clearly was not a coincidence that opened just in front of the DVC Tower.
Yeah.
Tower opening. Gina, correct her spelling because she knows that Derek's probably watching. Mm-hmm. And then Gina did book. She booked Saratoga for the one night.
One night.
It happens. It's probably what we're gonna have to do, though. Actually, I looked, and we're talking about November. It's not far away, and there's not even anything available at Saratoga or Old Key West right now. So I'm just kind of waiting for something to show up. But as I said, I'm leaning towards, because I'd actually have to borrow points for it. So I think if we end up not being able to get the one night, we'll probably just get a hotel by the airport, and then we can hop on the plane first thing in the morning. It'll be a shorter drive. I don't have any immediate Disney plans until September, but my wife is on a plane right now as we speak, and we'll be landing in Orlando in about an hour.
Oh, nice.
To visit our daughter,
Hot.
who is,
Hot everywhere. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. She's out there for her college program.
For her college program, yeah. We haven't seen her since the end of May. My wife was kind of like, I can't go all the way to September and not see her. So she's just down there for 3 days, but my daughter was able to get a couple days off. So they're going to maybe do a little park time. I don't know. This time of year, it's tough. We'll see how they do. Now, what about you? What do you got coming up?
Yeah, so I have a work trip. So hence I had to do a last minute. It is Saratoga Springs because that's what you do. I own there, so I'm very happy to stay there at any time. Yeah. So that was an easy booking. What else is going on? Oh, yeah, me and Gina, we went to producer extraordinaire Gina. We went to the new Disneyland tour, so the guided tours. Mm-hmm. It's called Walt's Main Street Story. It used to be called Walk in Walt's Footsteps, but now it's Walt's Main Street Story. I do like the improvement. So we're going to do a little Patreon episode about it and say what the old tour was like and the new tour. Spoiler, it's really good. We think everyone should do it. It's pretty good. Add everybody that was on the tour with us. We went just random people that were there, and everybody agreed it was like really good for the price you paid.
How much was it?
Cookie.
Do you mind?
It was $160. You get a cookie.
Okay.
You got to hang out in the patio of Walt's apartment.
Ooh.
They give you a drink. You get this button with your name on it. It's really good. Everyone gets a little emotional and everything. So there's a lot of good points about it. So me and Gina will go over it.
That is one thing about going to Disneyland for the Disney World folks that maybe don't do it, is you get that Walt was here experience from going there. And I don't know if it's just mental for us Disney fans, but it feels a little different, especially when you're walking around like Main Street and things like that, to think about that he was here, right? Mm-hmm. And so doing a tour like that, especially, you get close to seeing like his effect on the park and everything like that, which is still you can feel. What is it, 65 years later?
Yeah,
like that.
So
yeah, almost 70. Yeah.
And I think for me, I looked out the window from the apartment to Main Street. I was like, oh my gosh, like that's the view,
Yep.
That he looked out. So that was cool.
That apartment is very cool. I've been in there too. And that is definitely a highlight if you can take a tour that takes you in there. So for sure. All right. So that's a little plug there. Join our Patreon if you want to hear more about the behind the scenes tour. And what was the name of it again?
Walt's Main Street Story.
Walt's Main Street Story. So if you want to hear more about that, about Disneyland, whether you think it's worth doing that, join the My DVC Points Patreon. We got a number of bonus episodes. I think we usually have a bonus episode every month, and as well as some other benefits. Chad will pick you up a popcorn bucket.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever the latest one is.
There's other ones too, though. So, but with that, I think we can close out the show, and that sums up the news. And I'll say bye, everybody, and see you real soon.
See you, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, please watch your head and step as you exit, and take small children by the hand.
Aw, chill up, Dad. I'll come back. With DVC.
My DVC Points is an unofficial Disney-inspired podcast created by fans of Disney Vacation Club. The thoughts expressed in this podcast are personal opinions and personal experiences. My DVC Points is not affiliated with Disney Vacation Club, the Walt Disney Companies, or any subsidiaries. We encourage listeners to contact their DVC guide or member services for official DVC policies.